on Zoom, and to those of you who are joining us on the live stream. I had received apologies from councillors Scout and Arnold, but they're not actually members of this committee, so we can note that for the next committee meeting when I think it would be appropriate to receive those ones. Grant, I'll leave that here. Any declarations of interest that anybody has to raise? If not, that brings us into the first item and open, which is the minutes of the Community Wellbeing Committee from Tuesday, December 13. I'll move to true and correct.
Second that,
Councillor
Mr. Chair.
Sloper, thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I apologise for that meeting, and it's not recorded. It was a 13th. I haven't got my iPad's not in front of me, but it was a 13th of December. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I did put an apology through the office.
Noted.
Yeah, no, I think I did too.
Yes, and I did pass it. I did pass that on too, so we'll make those amendments. Barry?
No, I'm fine now.
Okay. So with those amendments, put it all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Application for grant funding from the Invercargill Licensing Trust. Stephen, welcome to the meeting. Stephen, councillors have had a chance to read through, but if you want to highlight any prominent issues in the paper, that would be good.
What was that? Sorry, Chair.
Do you want to provide a summary of the paper?
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mayor and councillors. This paper is purely just a process that we go through to apply for funding to the ILT for the ILT Schools Learn to Swim program. It's been running since 2008. A very successful program in the community. If I'll take the report as read and we'll just open it from discussion from there.
Councillors, there are two recommendations. Councillor Kett?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are you moving, or are you going to ask a question?
I'll ask a question. Is that okay?
Okay, I'll get the item on the table first. Does somebody want to move? Rhea
Happy to
and
move it.
Leslie, thank you. Yes, sorry, where you go, Peter?
Okay, there are three noticeable absence here of the schools. Waihopai, Windsor North and Waverley, all W's down the end of the alphabet. Are they in another swimming program, or has it just been an oversight?
I would say they got chopped off the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I had a good look, because one of them is my old school.
They are included.
They are?
And
Thank you
still
very
standing?
much. Another question, please. Have you approached the ILT prior to this meeting today to talk about this, the funding?
Not as yet, Councillor.
I think it would be more professional, Mr. Chairman, if the ILT had been approached prior to it being published in the paper and an open agenda here.
It's part of a standard process, though.
Since 2008.
There's nothing new in this application as opposed to others, are there, Stephen?
No, the ILT are very supportive of this program, so I did have a voicemail message when I was away last week from the ILT, just asking to get last year's accountability sorted, and that advised me of when the applications closed for this year's round of funding.
So it is, they are expecting an application, but it does need to go through the formal approval process of council.
Yes, that's correct, Chair.
Thank you. Further questions, Peter?
I'm happy in the meantime.
Thanks. Rangi, then Leslie.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yes, Stephen, just looking at, obviously this is mainly for schools and there's absolute valid reasons why it's for, but looking at the stats for the last 2 years of drownings, the over 65s, the highest percentage of people drowning now. Do you open it, the training to elderly people for that? Do you get much take up?
We do offer adult swimming lessons at Splash Palace.
As part of this?
Not as part of this, because this is purely for the schools.
Purely for the schools, yeah. I'm just wondering if you know, take up, just looking at those stats are extremely alarming, and obviously I just wondered what would motivate those adults try and go, you know, if it was maybe free.
That is a possibility.
Yeah, no, just
Not sure of the answer to that.
yeah. I was just it was amazing how disturbing those statistics are for adults.
Yep. I guess with this application, there's always been a strong link between the ILT and education and some of the projects that they've funded. I don't know that they've looked beyond that, but it's a it's a relevant point that can go out there in the community and perhaps be raised with them. Thanks, Trish.
Through you, Chair, I'd just like to say how valuable this is. We are really looked on as being very, very fortunate to have it in our education community, and it's very important and it's very valued.
Thank you. Sorry, Leslie.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chair. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say, as Trish has just said, look, this has been since 2008 an absolutely well respected and high delivery program. I think all those schools are very, including the three whose names are missed, are very appreciative of it. And considering how bad the statistics have been for drowning deaths just in this last summer, it really does emphasise why this program was put in place in the first place, to create a generation that did have a great deal more sense and appreciation of water than perhaps some of those drowning statistics. So I'm just an absolute fan of this program, really pleased to see it here, and I wish it great success in the next year.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So if we're successful with the full amount we applied to the ILT Foundation for, there is a shortfall. I haven't got, as I said, I've got my iPad in front of me. There is a shortfall. Does council have to top that up to Splash Palace, or?
Stephen?
Through you, Chair. So it's a partnership program. So Splash Palace subsidised entry. The ILT funding covers the cost of swim teachers, pool space and transport.
Yeah, so will council transfer funds to Splash Palace, or it'll just be the $182,736? That's all Splash Palace will get, is that right? Or
Yes, so City Council receive the funding amount from
Yes.
the ILT, and then that's what we work with.
right? So we council ourselves won't have to top up Splash Palace with the extra money.
Not for that program. We
No, yeah,
subsidise
okay.
the entry, so we basically
Receive less.
just don't charge the
Yep.
cost. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Evelyn?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Cook. There have been in the past programs specifically directed at adults. Do we have the opportunity to apply similarly to those, or are they not currently being run? Because I'm just trying to search my mind back. I can't remember exactly, but I think ACC in the past have funded, and I have an idea that there was a national sort of adult learn to swim campaign some years ago. Do the pools professionals have input to ask about things like that? Is there a possibility of that? Because I am aware that the statistics don't really pertain to controlled swimming environments as a rule. These are sometimes people making unwise decisions in open locations. But having said all that, is there anything that we as an organisation can do or apply to offer our citizens those opportunities to improve their skills in the water?
Yeah, through you, Chair, definitely have the capabilities to do some work around that and investigate some options.
And I guess part of that would include gauging interest.
Indeed.
Maybe some of the statistics that have been around this summer might prompt a few people to consider it, so it's worth having a look at. Not part of this application, obviously, but any other questions or comments? If not, then I'll put the motions. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. There are no other items in open meeting, so we have to go into public excluded, but we also have finance and projects. So Grant, do you want to come and do the open finance and projects, and then we'll go and do the in-committee bits afterwards to save people having to leave? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll adjourn this meeting. Oh, a good point. So we'll go into public excluded and then adjourn. For this committee, yours will be an open meeting. So the items to be discussed are around the South Museum and Art Gallery Trust Board and PX. So I'm happy to move that. Second. Councillor Soper. Got that all in favour?
Aye.
Right.
Against? Carried. We are in committee and